kick it up a notch in the Crossroads League play here today inside of John Grimes Court on the campus of Marian University. It is Marian Knights basketball here on the ISC Sports Network as the Knights get set to take on the Lancers of Grace College. Alongside Jan Bozer, I'm Kurt Darling. Thank you so much for joining us here today. Jan, needless to say, this is a huge game for both of these teams, more so for Marian, seeing as how there is some huge Crossroads League conference standings implications at stake.
No doubt about it. Listen, Grace was able to knock off Indiana Wesleyan, the only team to be able to do that, so they made things a little interesting. So you put these two together, there's still a lot in play. 3-2-1, you lose and you can drop way down in a hurry. So huge game today for the Marian Knights.
There you see head coach Scott Heddy of Marian University is 17-4 this season. He is 150-42 in 6 years as the head coach of the Marian Knights, coming off his 150th win after taking down Mount Vernon of Nazarene back on January 21st. Needless to say, these two teams have played each other before, and it was not the way that Marian wanted to go the last time that these two teams played.
Go on the road, and Marian, when they're playing well, they hit threes. They didn't hit threes very well at all, and neither did Grace. But what Grace did do was get to the free throw line 9 more times and hit 7. That was the big difference in that ball game.
It'll certainly be a big factor here today as we get set for Marian Knights basketball. We'll take a quick timeout. Starting lineups and keys to the game coming at you next right here on the ISC Sports Network.
Is your building haunted or infested with icky snakes? Then tear it down. The Raised Trash Demolition Squad can flatten buildings up to 3 stories tall. Whether it's a commercial or residential structure, the Raised Trash Demo experts will make it go boom. And with their roll-off containers, they'll haul away the mess quicker than you can say, hey, there used to be a building there. Bring your old fire trap to its knees with Raised Trash.
RaisedTrash.com.
Raised Trash.
The minute I stepped foot on campus, I didn't want to leave.
Everyone here is about helping you succeed.
It's hard work, but it's totally worth it.
I have so much support from my advisors.
The nursing program is why I chose Marian.
I'm studying to be a teacher.
I'm a business major.
My professors really challenge me, and I know I'll be ready for my career.
A great education is the best thing you could ever do for yourself.
Marian University, an exceptional education and an unforgettable experience. Apply today for full scholarship consideration at marian.edu.
Still waiting? You could have been seen by an orthopedic specialist at Ortho Indy Urgent Care. Avoid the wait, cost, and drama of the ER. Ortho Indy Urgent Care. Orthopedic care without the drama. Find a location near you.
Welcome back to John Grimes Court here on the campus of Marian University. The Knights getting set to take on the Grace College Lancers here in a huge Crossroads League matchup here on the ISC Sports Network. Without further ado, let's send it to PA announcer Mark Adozzi for today's starting lineups.
This evening's contest. First, for the Lancers of Grace College. At forward, a sophomore from Plainfield, Indiana, number 5, Cade Gibbs. At guard, a sophomore from Plainfield, Indiana, number 10, Jacob Gibbs. At guard, a sophomore from Washington, Indiana, number 22, Bryson Graber. At forward, a junior from Fort Wayne, Indiana, number 32, Frankie Davidson. At center, a junior from LaGrange, Indiana, number 50, Elijah Malone. The Lancers head coach is Scott Moore. Ladies and gentlemen, starting lineups for the Grace College Lancers.
So there's your starting lineups for the Grace College Lancers. Of course, one of the big names to talk about there, of course, here, Jan, Frankie Davidson, the son of one Mark Davidson, who tragically passed away to cancer. He was the head coach at Blackhawk Christian for many years in high school.
Yeah, and I had him during his run at Blackhawk. He's a great player, obviously well coached by his dad. They had a run there and still pretty good, so he's a really solid player for Grace.
Also, the Gibbs twins from right here in Plainfield, Indiana. Now let's meet the team from Marian University.
At forward, a 6'8" senior from El Cajon, California, number 3, Tayshawn Cherry. At forward, a 6'6" senior from Floyd's Knobs, Indiana, number 23, Luke Goldman. At guard, a 6'5" junior from Muncie, Indiana, number 5, Josh Bryan. At guard, a 6'1" senior from Morristown, Indiana, number 25, Hayden Langcable. Rounding out the night starting lineup is a 6'1" senior guard out of Richmond, Indiana, wearing number 2, Christian Harvey. The Knights head coach in his 6th season, Scott Hattie. Ladies and gentlemen, starting lineups for your Marian University Knights.
Marcadozzi doing an excellent job on the PA. Certainly has me pumped up, but also it has me pumped up. Jan, your keys to the game, what are you looking for here tonight?
Well, tempo, let me tell you, when Marian gets in their tempo and groove mode, they're pretty solid. 3-point shooting on this court, that's where Marian beats people. Protect the paint. Grace may be the most efficient team in this league. They got 3 out of the 5 players who are in the top 5 percentage shooters in this conference.
That'll be a big factor, as will size. The 2 big men at the center court. Grace College, Marian Knights. We're underway here in Crossroads League action here on the ISC Sports Network. And the Lancers win the tip. And getting things going here will be Cade Gibbs, again one of 2 Gibbs twins, and he feeds it down low to the big man, Elijah Malone. We're going to be seeing a lot of that tonight.
Yes, sir. Malone's a big, big guy. That's going to be an interesting matchup.
Malone averaging 13 points a contest. 3 ball is true, though, there from Luke Goman.
There we go. It's exactly what we talked about at home. 3-point, that's the shot.
Goman 38% from behind the arc this season, one of the better shooting percentages for this Knights squad. Gibbs, nothing doing there. The big man gonna load it up from deep, and that rattles in and out. Here come the Knights here this time with Christian Harvey. And now inside to Tayshawn Cherry. And turnaround Jay is just a little short there from about 15 feet.
Cherry had a beautiful game the other night, had 30, just played unbelievable.
Gibbs loading it up from the corner. That's off the mark. Harvey quick up the court. He's averaging 12 a game. Can't get that one to go, but Cherry can't put it back either. And coming away with the rebound is Malone. Down the lane comes Graber. And once again, you see Malone playing a lot up top right now here in the early going.
Both these teams want to play at a little bit of a quicker pace.
And there's a big turnover right there by Grace College. Loading it up from deep again are the Knights. This time doesn't go there for Langcable.
Let me tell you, it's one of the more interesting stats. I'm not sure I've ever seen it before. In Marion's last game, they were on a 50-point halftime pace. No turnovers. I don't know that I've ever seen that.
I don't think I've ever seen a basketball game where there were no turnovers committed by a team.
In the first half.
So far, that's the case through the first 2 minutes and 10 seconds of this ball game for Marian. As it goes out of bounds, it'll stay here with Grace College.
Well, that's what makes you win when you don't turn it over. Marion's just under 10 a game.
Again, Grace College making the trek down here from Winona Lake, Indiana. They traveled early to beat the winter storm that everybody's been dealing with so far here today. In fact, they had to move the tip-off time up by a couple hours here for this one.
Yeah, we really got a good crowd now. I didn't know if we would, but it's starting to really come in. It's a big game. It's a huge game. If you follow this league, it is so tough to win on the road. And boy, I'll tell you, both teams want this one bad, so it's going to be a battle.
Grace College, the number 6 team in the country, according to the NAIA coaches poll. Marian at number 16. So 2 top 25 teams duking it out right here today. Nice take inside. That's Luke Goman, working outside and inside. He has all 5 points here for Marian. They're up 3 in the early going.
Goman is just so steady. He does what he does, and he does it every game. Very consistent player.
Graber tries to get a friendly tip there from Davidson. It doesn't go. Harvey really pushing the pace. 3 on the way is good from Josh Bryan.
And while we talk about 3-point shooting, so comfortable at home. That's a huge advantage for the Knights.
Knights 2 of 3 from behind the arc here so far. Gibbs leaves it for Malone. And a nice just pick and pocket right there by Tayshawn Cherry. He feeds it ahead to Harvey. He loses his footing. Loading it up. Land cable.
Great
Yes, sir!
Ball movement. Great ball movement. Good spacing. The Knights out to 11-2 run.
30-second timeout taken by Grace College. Needless to say, to stop a huge run here by the Marian Knights in the early going.
That's exactly what you want to do. Take advantage of your home court. Get off to a good lead.
Again, take a look at the steal again from Tayshawn Cherry. He just ripped it right out of the hands of the big man. And then Harvey just stumbling. And who wouldn't you know it? Land cable.
Yep, land
it's true
cable.
right there. While we have a moment, tonight's game brought to you by First On Site More Restoration. Formerly More Restoration, they are here to help you power through whatever comes your way. They are a leading North American property restoration company that specializes in emergency response restoration and reconstruction following disasters of any kind. From fire and flood to catastrophic storms and biohazards, they have the team, technology, and resources to help you restore, rebuild, and rise. Go Knights.
You know, one of the things that Marian really does well at home is rebound. They're not the tallest or biggest team in this league, but they are really good on the boards, especially at home. They'll have to do that today.
So far, 3 of the 4 field goals made by Marian, all from behind the arc. And now we're going to have a foul, our first foul of the day. It's going to be against... Looks like it's going to be against Marian here. It's going to be Goman picking up his first.
Well, he gets the opportunity to guard a guy about 30 more pounds heavier than he is. So that's a task. He can't push or they're going to get him, and that's what happened.
Say you have Tayshawn Cherry guarding Jake Wading, which is a mismatch in its own here. And Malone going in, but look at Cherry coming in from behind, and they're going to say Cherry got a little handsy there.
Well, they're going to play a little behind and then have the out guy drop. You're going to see Cherry drop right here, but got the arm. Good call by the official. But that's a big foul. Marian cannot get into a lot of foul trouble, especially down with the big guys.
As Malone makes the first foul shot. These foul shots brought to you by AAA Roofing. When it rains, it pours. So trust the pros at AAA Roofing. That's who we call. So those free throws breaking a big run here by the Marian Knights. But so far, the Knights not looking to slow down anytime soon. Lane Cable can't finish.
Cherry real close there over the back. No call.
3 on the way from deep there for Grace. That is Stoltzfus. And that doesn't go.
They got to go up Malone a little bit. They got to see if they can get some fouls on him.
From deep again. That's off the mark from Josh Bryant. Stoltzfus again. Gets it back out to Malone. And he just throws it away out of bounds.
Yeah, unforced error. Felt like the guy was coming back for the ball and did not. Timeout.
Under media timeout on the floor. We'll take one with them. The Knights all over Grace College in the early going right here on the ISC Sports Network.
Meet Chip. 30 years ago, he started a small business with a big idea. Today, there's a new building, a new fleet of equipment, and a new era of leadership. But we know Chip, and at Indiana Members Credit Union, we know he plans to keep growing, building business with the next generation. IMCU is here to help with secure and simple account management tools and commercial financing to grow business. Today, it's all about Chip. Tomorrow, it's all about you. Because at IMCU, it's you that matters.
Dear doctor, your screens say my mom. You can keep my screens now.
This is the Pepsi for America's best barbecue. Worthy of 100-mile detours and 1,000 likes. Looks good. This is the Pepsi for mopping, dipping, and dousing. Whatever you're craving, this is the Pepsi for you. This is the Pepsi for serious fans and serious eats. This is the Pepsi for Sundays at the ballpark and days off at your favorite pizza joint. Right, Aaron?
Best slice in New York.
Whatever you're craving, this is the Pepsi for you.
A great start here for the Marian Knights alongside Jan Bozier. I'm Kurt Darling. Jan, what do you think of this first 4 minutes?
Well, both teams, especially Marian, got off to a really good start, but in the last few possessions have come empty-handed. I'd like to see some inside-outside play by the Knights.
Goman feeds it into Cherry. He goes one-on-one with Gibbs, and he's a little short there on the jump hook. Gibbs into the corner, now has Waiting, and he gets it out to the other Gibbs. That's Cade Gibbs, and he hits the first 3 of the day here for Grace.
Good spacing by Griggs. That's just because the big guy gathers so much attention inside. Somebody's really open usually for Grace.
5 straight points here for Grace. They've cut it back to a 4-point deficit. Goman trying to find Cherry, nothing there. Cherry again working on Gibbs. He's going to step back and put it up from the baseline, and he hits.
Under control, didn't panic. And he's got that really nice float jumper there from about 15, turnaround jumper.
Malone tries again from deep. He clanks that off the front of the iron. Again, Malone, one of the bigger players you'll see here in the Crossroads League, 6'10".
And he plays all 6'10" at whatever he weighs. Big guy, good player.
Goman right down the lane, gets the reverse finger roll.
And I like the fact Marian's now gotten to the paint a couple times to kind of get that defense to have to respect the paint.
And that was actually Hayden Lane Cable. They look utterly similar out there on the floor right now. But that's Goman getting the rebound.
And Grace is not a great offensive rebounding ball club.
Lane Cable off the feed there from Goman. Cherry on a mismatch. And he goes from the elbow, can't convert. Again, Marian right now sitting 3rd in the Crossroads League. If they win today, they would move into a tie for 2nd with Grace College. And there's a steal. They're going to call a jump ball, and the possession arrow favors Marian Knights.
Really good help side defense by the Knights. Cherry, you're going to see Cherry right here deflect it, but here's the backside help right there. And that's what Marian has to do. They cannot play him just one guy. They got to get backside help.
And as I was saying about the Crossroads League standings, but there's another big game tonight here, Jan. Indiana Wesleyan taking on Huntington. Of course, those are 2 of the top teams, not just in the Crossroads League, but also in the whole country as well. Needless to say, however that game plays out, it depends on where Marian comes out in the Crossroads League standings once we're done today.
And then Grace has Indiana Wesleyan in their next game, so a lot can happen in the next few days.
One of the most competitive conferences here in the NAIA.
Great conference. Ooh.
Bryan puts an elbow into the defender, can't convert, and no call on the floor.
Got away with that one.
Stoltzfus gets it to Scott. Stoltzfus pulls up from the charity stripe, and he hits. So things starting to heat up a little bit here now for Grace from the field.
Yeah, they've cut that lead down to 6. Marian's offense is a little slow moving right now. They're very efficient when you see a lot of passes until Cherry, who's almost impossible to block that 3.
Tayshawn Cherry getting things a little bit quicker right there. He hits his first 3 of the ball game.
Boy, he had such a spectacular game last game out, and you was hoping he'd save some for tonight.
Again, that was a season high 30 points coming off earlier this season.
He was the leading scorer for Marian in the last game against Grace.
Meanwhile, back the other way, Ian Scott gets his first bucket. Excellent start here for Marian. The underdogs in this one, and Harvey keeps the heat going from behind the arc.
And when they spread it around and you get that 3-point from about 4 different guys, hard to defend.
That's 5 made 3-pointers in this first half so far for the Knights.
We talked about that in the opening. So good at home shooting the 3.
Tipped out of bounds. It'll stay here with Marian, but before we go any further, we're at the under 12 timeout. At least it appears we will be here soon. They're going to take it out here real quick, actually, so we'll keep it right here. Almost looked like they were about to take a timeout here. What a shot right there from Tayshawn Cherry.
And the big thing right now for the Marian Knights, not a lot of fouls here early. That's good.
Cut down inside. Scott is able to finish.
Scott with the reverse against the rim. Really solid move.
So now we see Maximus Gizzi into the game for the first time for Marian, as we do Luke Heddy. Of course, Luke Heddy, the son of head coach Scott Heddy. Lane Cable unable to finish, but he gets his own rebound. And a fresh 20 seconds here for Marian.
Benches will play a big part of this, Kurt. Really, we'll see which team can get a lot of points from their bench.
Gizzi off the mismatch.
Great pass by Jerry. Gizzi's really picked up his game. He's doing a great job of moving without the ball.
Scott again has made the last back-to-back buckets here for Grace. Gibbs along the baseline. Gets it back out here to Stickafoos for a three.
Wow, nice shot by Grace again with the big Malone on the bench. Let's see what Marian can do while he's got a few minutes rest here.
Stickafoos can be deadly from behind the arc. He shoots 42% in that regard. Also deadly from behind the arc, Hayden Lane Cable.
Kurt, you see the movement though? Everybody was moving. When they move like that, they're as good as any team in this conference.
His second three of the day, that's number 6 for Marian in this first half. Halfway home here in this opening half of the ball game. And a foul coming up here on Marian.
Let's see who they get.
It's going to be against Heddy. That'll be his first. Excellent shot right there by Lane Cable.
Just really quick movement on those high ball screens for Marian, and that's when they are at their absolute best, getting those three-point shots out of the offense.
Only 3 fouls committed by Marian here in this first half. Grace has yet to commit a foul, as the Knights play up 10 here at the halfway mark. Jake Wadding leaves it back here for Stoltzfus again. From the elbow, he hits.
Really nice looking jumper. Tough shot.
That's 4 points for him. Stoltzfus only averaging 3.5 a game. He has 4 already. Gizzi off the cut, gets underneath, and running all around, making it wide open again this time for Goman, and he can't finish.
And that's a shot Goman usually hits. Just didn't quite get that one. Still pretty good ball rotation by the Knights.
Trying to feed it inside to the big man Wadding. He can't quite get his hand on it. It gets turned over. That's turnover number 3 right there for Grace.
Well, we continue to see Marian with 1 to 3 guys around defensive inside guys, and the defense has just been solid. Grace is kind of flustered with their inside game right now, and that's because of the Knight defense.
Still an 8-point lead here for Marian. Here's Gavin Foe from the elbow, and he hits.
Nice. And the thing he does, he's got a great leap jump shot. He gets off the ground a good 2 to 3 feet. Really hard to defend that jump shot.
That's now 7 Marian Knights in the scorers column here today. Stickafoos from the corner again. He sends that one long. The offensive rebound doesn't go, but again, Davidson comes down with it, and they're going to call, looks like they may call a goaltending here maybe. No, they're going to call a foul.
They get a foul, and Coach Heddy not real happy with it. Felt like that was a lot of ball.
That'll be Gavin Foe picking up his first.
Let's take a look here. Well, here's the problem. It may have been a lot of ball, but anytime you swat down, your chances of getting a foul.
Caught him on the face.
Yeah, are still pretty high. So
while we have a moment, these free throws brought to you by Pepsi. Be sure to grab a Pepsi and some friends and get to the game with Pepsi, a proud partner of the Marian University Knights.
You see Coach Heddy right there. You know how much he wants that game. He is one fired up coach right now.
Both foul shots fall there for Frankie Davidson. Again, a standout player at Blackhawk Christian under his father.
Yeah, some state championships in that run and a lot of victories, I can tell you that.
Indeed. A lot of victories in high school for Max Gizzi as well. He played at New Palestine.
Actually, think I had that state championship game. In fact, I know I did.
Heddy from deep.
Ooh.
He's way off the mark. So that's the first turnover of the ball game for Marian.
Just a little quick. That's one of the things sometimes coming off the bench. Got to get a couple shots in. Kind of get your eye, kind of get glued in. It happens. Nice still doing a great job. Malone on the bench for a long time.
Cut inside, Davidson.
And boy, Marian got caught standing that time. That's a good backdoor pass. Perfect pass in the layup. You got to talk on that one.
Now a 6-point ball game here. Marian still on top. Cherry back into the ball game. He tries the turnaround J, but again, that's blocked by Scott, and he gets the steal. Coming down the lane, he's going to cough it up, and they're going to say a foul before it got tipped out of bounds.
Now all of a sudden we got some fouls starting to gather here. Let's see who they get. Yeah, that's his second.
Timeout on the floor here. We'll go ahead and take one with them. Marian still holding on to the lead here over Grace College here in the first half on the ISC Sports Network.
Still waiting? You could have been seen by an orthopedic specialist at Ortho Indy Urgent Care. Avoid the wait, cost, and drama of the ER. Ortho Indy Urgent Care. Orthopedic care without the drama. Find a location near you.
Pat Sullivan here for the Michaelis Corporation. They've been in business for 35 plus years. I'm here with the owner, Richard Michaelis. Hey, Richard, what's the key to the growth over the last 35 years?
Pat, I believe being a family-owned local business that is involved in the community has a lot to do with it.
All right, so you have a lot of services. Tell us about some of those services.
We're really, really strong in the emergency services, smoke, fire damage restoration, storm and water damage restoration, all while working with your insurance company. We also do mold remediation, basement and crawl space waterproofing, foundation repair, and roof repair. We are a full-service company.
All right, as to the owner, we know you wear a lot of hats. What do you do day to day?
I really love being out in the field working with our clients. It gives me a great opportunity to understand their needs so we can take care of them.
Your hands-on approach, I think, is a lot to do with the success of Michaelis. If you find yourself needing their services, give them a call anytime, 24/7 at 844-FIX-INDY. The Michaelis Corporation. Construct, renovate, restore.
Be sure to get all of the up-to-the-minute information on Knights Athletics at MUKnights.com, and you can also follow us on Twitter at MUKnights. That's at MUKnights. Alongside Jan Bozier, I'm Kurt Darling. Well, Jan, it's been all Marian here in the early going, but Grace, they're starting to make a run of it.
They are, and Goldman's got two. Coach Eddie's going to leave him in. He's got to play. They are not real deep with a lot of big men.
Speaking of big men, trying to go right down the middle there is Ian Scott.
Well,
and he has 6 points.
Kurt, they're going to go right at Goldman now. That could be big if they get number 3 on him before the half.
This is the closest that Grace College has been since early on in this half. Marian has led by as many as 10 points. Gizzy. Outside again to Cherry. Landcable looking for his opening. 4 seconds to shoot. Gizzy pulls up and a big shot right there for the Knights.
That's the Gizzy of this year with a lot of confidence. He needed that one. He's been playing so well the last couple ball games.
He only averages about 3 a ball game. He already has 4.
Well, he's capable. It's just a confidence thing.
Meanwhile, speaking of confidence, Ian Scott has a lot of it. He now has 8 points.
The more they can get minutes out of Gizzy, the better this team can be depth-wise.
Cherry tries to find his opening along the baseline. Instead, he pulls up from the elbow and doesn't go. Grace really pushing the envelope now. Cross court, Stoltzfus for 3. No good.
Well, we talked about pace. Both these ball clubs average 84 points a ball game. They love to push it.
Certainly looks to be a high-scoring affair here today as Landcable again shut down along the outside, but still pulls the trigger anyway, and it doesn't fall. Gizzy trying to play defense, and that was an excellent play there by Gizzy on the defensive end.
Well, both teams, especially Marian, really has now kind of cooled off with the three-point shots. They need to find some more inside and get that inside outside and not just completely fall in love with that three-point shot.
Jake Wadding was the player for Grace that was coming down with a full head of steam, and Gizzy was able to foil that effort right there. So a fresh offensive possession here for the Lancers. Scott opts to leave it here for Davidson. And a nice give and go and a dunk right there by Scott.
For everybody who watches basketball, that's how you go to the rim. Don't Mickey Mouse around with the ball. Go up and make sure you got a high percentage shot, I'd say.
Just a little bit. Speaking of high percentage shots, that was one right there, but Sherry couldn't get it.
Marian ice cold right now.
Gibbs double teamed along the baseline. And just saving it into the hands here of Brian, who almost makes it and misses a bunny. You weren't kidding when it was ice cold, Jan. Davidson can't convert, but Wadding with an athletic rebound over the back.
Marian. I seen that one coming. They're not playing defense now. They're ice cold offense.
Full timeout taken by Marian. We'll take one with them. Back in a moment here on the ISC Sports Network.
I've always liked Indianapolis. I've been interested in the bigger city life. The community and everything fell into place.
With my degree, I plan on becoming a pediatric nurse. Indianapolis has several hospitals and different options to choose from as to where I should go.
I chose Indianapolis because I love the Pacers, I love the Colts, and this is a basketball city. Just wanted to stay in the city, play in front of my friends and family, and try to give Marian my best.
Who's got time for hot dogs and disco music? Your mind's cluttered with thoughts of commercial waste removal. So thank the good Lord above for Ray's Trash. Ray's will collect the intolerable rubbish at all your company's locations up to 6 times a week. That's 42 times in dog weeks. They shred documents and recycle too. And Ray's has roll-off containers for big loads, like construction waste or when your giant dies. Got a business? Get yourself to raystrash.com.
raystrash.com.
Ray's Trash.
We're knotted up at 30 here at John Grimes Court, here on the ISC Sports Network. The Marian Knights taking on the Grace College Lancers here. Jan, we said we'd have a ball game. Well, it was a little bit of a slower start for Grace. Well, needless to say, they're as good as advertised here through the last few minutes.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Marian has went ice cold from outside after just an unbelievable start. Now, some of that is the fact they've got some subs in there that don't usually shoot the threes as well as some of the starters. Nevertheless, they have got to find some points in the paint. Cherry with a little breather now for the Knights.
This is a series that is very hotly contested. Marian leads the overall series 25-21, dating back to 2002 when these two teams first played each other. Christian Harvey back into the ball game now here for Marian. He steps back from just atop the free throw line, doesn't go. Big rebound there by Goman. And taking it inside his foe, he gets blocked. No, they're going to get a foul.
Well, the underneath official said no. The outside one said yes. Really good drive, quick ball fake right here. Got Grace off their feet a little bit, no question about the call. I mean, that was a lot of contact. They're going to have every shot's going to be contested today.
That is the first foul committed by Grace College in this ball game.
And not all of contact's going to be called, but that much contact has to be called. That's a good call by the outside official.
Foe misses the front end right there, but he makes the second one. So Marian gets the lead back here as we see Elijah Malone check back in, and that's a thing here, Jan. Grace has made this run with Elijah Malone on the bench that whole time.
Well, you know, he does a lot of good things, but when he's on the bench, they kick it up a notch in transition. So they can do some other things when he's not in there, but when he is in there, he's a complete, changes it more to a half court.
Gibbs loads it up from the corner. Harvey gets it off the rebound from Goman, and he's just going to go right to the basket, but clanks it off the back iron.
That's all right, I like it. Go with authority.
Step back from Brian. And he's off the mark there.
He sends a message. He missed it, but he sends a message by going strong.
Malone from the wing. And he's 0 for 3 from behind the arc.
Well, here's the problem with the 6'10 guy. He's not 6'10 when he's shooting out there. They lose his big effectiveness in the paint when he stays outside all the time. Now, I know he can hit some, and he does, but he's really a problem underneath.
Speaking of a problem, that's what Brian is certainly making himself for Grace right now. That was a big shot there to make it a 3-point ball game here for Marian. Scott off the mark there, big rebound from Malone. Again, Malone. He's insistent on shooting.
He's a decent
and this
shooter.
time he makes it.
I'm not going to take anything away from his three-point shooting, but what a factor he can be inside.
In fact, he shoots 39% from behind the arc. He just hasn't taken very many of them this season. Foe tries to answer, and he does in a big way.
Yeah, Foe, good to see him really get going here. They need him.
Trading three-pointers here against two teams that are very proficient in that style of play. Graber loads up the three, and he hits it. That knots it up at 36 apiece here with 2:45 left to go.
Yeah, you're right. We are definitely trading threes right now.
And a big block there by Malone. That was the first made shot by Bryson Graber here tonight on the other end. As the clock stops at 2:32 left, we're still knotted at 36 apiece.
Really good first half. Two really quality teams going at it.
From just inside the arc, a nice turnaround jumper there by Lane Cable.
Yeah, he's seen that little opening. Nobody was on him tight. He got that nice 13-foot jumper.
Back to a 2-point lead here for Marian.
Everybody's going to have to contribute today. To win this, you're going to need all team members doing something to contribute.
And so far, all but one player that has played here for Marian has scored. Gibbs. And he banks that one in.
Grace has now found the groove.
That is the first lead of the ball game here for Marian. They are up 39-38.
And what they're telling Marian, listen, we want you to get off Malone for a while and come out and pay some attention to us. That makes them hard to beat when they do that.
Bryan has some help from Cherry. Landcable pushes off the defender, and he coughs it up. Pushing it ahead to Gibbs. Nice defense by Marian, but Wadding is able to clean things up.
You got to take care of the ball against Grace. Really quickness in that front defensive front three for them. If you don't make a crisp pass, they're going to steal it or get a hand or a deflection on it.
So far, a big run here by Grace. Bryan can't answer with a three of his own.
Good extend right here.
1 minute to go here in the first half.
Oh, he got away with one there. Trapped the ball in his hip.
Here's Malone going in on Cherry again. Foe tries to get a hand in there, and they're going to get a foul coming up on Marian. And it will indeed be Foe picking up his second.
That's why he is so effective underneath you. He literally draws three shirts. And why quick math equation for us not so smart math guys. Three guys on him kind of leaves some other guys open, but you have no choice.
Yeah, you're definitely right. I was a comm major. I don't math very well.
Did you do good in math?
Not really.
It's one of my better subjects. As long as there's only five guys, minus three, I can do pretty well.
Couple substitutions here, as we'll see Goman check back in with two fouls, as well as Luke Hetty. Scores 41-38, 55 seconds left to go here in the first half. Grace College on top now by 4.
Well, no surprise about the pace. We mentioned early on that both these ball clubs average 84 a game. Both of these teams are playing at the pace they like to play at. It's just who can put it in the hoop.
Harvey saving some time. He pulls up from the elbow, and he leaves that one short. Marian has gone ice cold again shooting the ball. Wadding almost loses it. And outside to Scott again. Gibbs outside again. Can't connect.
Big rebound for the Knights.
Final 30 seconds.
Got to get something here for the Knights.
Cherry from the corner. Rattles in and out, but a big offensive rebound by Goman. Shot clock is still on here. Only a couple tenths of a second separating the two.
Marian needs to get something here, Kurt. Close this gap a little bit and carry some momentum going into this second half.
Harvey going to hold for the final shot here. He has 4 seconds to get something off. 3 seconds. Harvey, and he wastes too much time. It's a shot clock violation.
Oh, my.
So it was a half a second disparity between the two. So there is 0.5 seconds left on the clock here in the first half.
And that's still enough time for a catch and shoot. It's going to be a quick one.
Instead, Grace is just going to take it to halftime. So Marian punched him in the mouth early, but it's been Grace College ever since. They lead by 4 going to halftime here. Don't go anywhere. Halftime coming at you next right here on the ISC Sports Network.
Meet Chip. 30 years ago, he started a small business with a big idea. Today, there's a new building, a new fleet of equipment, and a new era of leadership. But we know Chip, and at Indiana Members Credit Union, we know he plans to keep growing, building business with the next generation. IMCU is here to help with secure and simple account management tools and commercial financing to grow business. Today, it's all about Chip. Tomorrow, it's all about you. Because at IMCU, it's you that matters.
Pat Sullivan here for the Michaelis Corporation. They've been in business over 35 years. I'm here with Joe Polizzi to talk emergency services. Now, Joe, when I set my house on fire with a toaster, you were actually in my yard before the firefighters left.
Well, Pat, I remember that call like it was yesterday, and although I was disappointed that it was yours, I was happy that I was going to be able to provide some assistance.
You know, this true story, a firefighter actually told me I needed to call someone for emergency services, kind of obvious, and I told him Michaelis was on the way. He said, great, because they're the real deal. Joe, now what do you do in these situations when you show up?
Well, we try to be a calming influence, and we try to find out what the needs are of the family. Everybody's needs are different. Everybody's desires are different. What we try to do is match what we could provide with what they need and do it very smoothly.
I've lived it. If you find yourself needing emergency restoration service in the wake of a fire, flood, or storm, give the Michaelis Corporation a call anytime, 24/7, 844-FIX-INDY.
It's halftime here on the ISC Sports Network as the Marian Knights trail Grace College by 4 here at halftime. Alongside Jan Bozier, I'm Kurt Darling. Well, Jan, we stressed in the pregame how important this game is, not just for Marian, but for Grace College as well. Both teams are certainly playing like they feel the import of it so far.
Yeah, it feels like a national championship type environment. Both teams really going at it. It's just really now this one's coming down. Who can make shots? I mean, both teams playing hard defensively, little bit of foul trouble. Both teams have had hot and cold periods. Neither team getting to the line a lot, so which team can get there? But end of the day, it's going to come down who can put the ball in the hoop.
Both teams were able to avoid the bonus there. Marian had 6 fouls, but Grace College played pretty cleanly. They only had 1 foul that whole first 20 minutes.
Yeah, and that's big because Marian had a few, but they were able to play through them and really not get that third big one.
Meanwhile, it has been an Ian Scott bonanza for Grace College here. He had a little bit of a slow start, but at one point he had 4 straight buckets. He has 10 points to lead Grace College. He's been pretty much working it both on the inside and outside of the floor for Grace.
Yeah, they got some really good shots. Malone was on the bench while they had that really good run. Remember, he sat down, and all of a sudden, they really kicked it into gear in the transition game. And quite honestly, that was that run that gave them the lead.
And meanwhile, when you're taking a look at Marian, they have certainly been spreading the ball out. In fact, they have had 7 different players on the floor score so far here today. In fact, the only player that has played that has not scored is Luke Hetty. He only has a foul to his credit so far. But needless to say, Marian, they are getting some excellent minutes so far with leading scorer Hayden Landcable. 2 threes from behind the arc as well as a couple quick buckets on the inside.
Well, they scored really well early on in the three-point shot. Then it kind of tapered off, and the problem they then had is because they didn't have any dribble drives or very few in the paint. Grace's defense just continued to pressure, and you can see the percentage of the threes go down during that sequence.
And, of course, going down was the shooting percentage overall. Marian at one point only had maybe 1 bucket in probably about a 4-minute span.
Yeah, and that's why 2 things got to happen. They've got to find the paint a little more, and we noticed a couple times I mentioned that when they're really moving, accentuating the movement, that's when they score.
So it's certainly going to be a lot to talk about here. Of course, one thing to talk about as well has been the weather. In fact, we have a pretty good crowd on hand in spite of the fact that this game got moved up by a couple of hours. On top of the fact, you have a winter storm coming in here early this morning and pretty much wreaking havoc on the entire metro area. Good crowd here today so far.
It is. I'm not disappointed. That we didn't get 7 or 8 inches. I mean, I like snow, but I don't like it that much. So it ended up not being a bad drive at all for me.
Of course, Grace College actually made the trek up earlier than expected.
Right.
Usually they would come up the day of come down the day of the game, but they actually got a hotel room last night to beat the weather, so that way we could get this game in. In fact, you mentioned to me earlier is the fact how, and of course from your experience covering the NAIA before, they do not cancel a whole lot of games regardless of the elements.
No, until the snow gets higher than the automobiles, they don't. I can remember going up to Goshen College, and there was 24 inches of snow. The game still went on. We were the only people there from, at that time, the college my son went to. That was it. And you could barely see the cars because the snow was higher than the cars. They still played.
In fact, the last time I think the snow was higher than the cars here in the Indy metro area was back right around this time in 1978. In fact, actually today is the anniversary of the beginning of the blizzard of 78.
Yeah, well, here's the problem. Because these guys play so many games, as a coach, you don't want to postpone them. You've set everything for the date. You've worked towards it. Everything mentally is fresh. Numbers are fresh. And you just don't want that delay if there's any way you can not have it.
And, of course, and you talk about so many games, a lot of these schools here in the NAIA, they are actually sometimes teams that cover for canceled games for NCAA teams, such as, or even exhibition as well. Of course, in Marian, for example, they had an exhibition matchup against Indiana to start the season. So needless to say, you really get a lot of games in the NAIA ranks.
You really do. It's a long, long season. It is definitely a marathon. I always talk about when young people come up from high school to college, a couple of the big things. A lot more games, a lot more travel, bigger court, a lot more attention to basketball. It is a huge adjustment for freshmen coming in to college basketball, whether it's NAIA or NCAA. It is a huge adjustment.
The level of play is certainly always competitive and fun to watch, and this has been a fun game to watch so far here today. We'll go ahead and take another quick timeout. When we come back, we'll have some highlights as well as some more foreshadowing for the second half coming up, and also we'll talk about a new hire here at Marian University for a different sport that you usually see regularly right here on the ISC Sports Network. Don't go anywhere. The Grace College Lancers on top of the Marian Knights by 4 here on the ISC Sports Network.
Marian University is like a home to me. Campus is where I made friends that I know will last a lifetime.
Academics, sports, or arts, Marian's got something for you.
Plus, downtown Indy is just 10 minutes away from campus.
I'm a huge sports fan. Living in Indy, I've got the Knights, the Colts, and the Pacers.
Applying was so fast and easy.
I went to Marian for the education, but what I took away was the experience.
Marian University offers an exceptional education and an unforgettable experience. Apply today for full scholarship consideration at marian.edu.
Pepsi's always had great taste. Today, try great taste with zero sugar. This is the Pepsi with zero compromises. This is Pepsi Zero Sugar.
Welcome back here to Marian University. Jan, let's take a look at some highlights from that first half. Obviously, things got going with Grace College for Elijah Malone, but the three-point shooting was really what got Marian into this one here in the early going.
Yeah, it's a good thing they got off to that really good start because that big surge by Grace has really turned things around here.
Of course, that was Josh Bryan. Of course, Tyson Cherry getting a big steal right there, leading to this big play as well. Langcable getting it wide open. Again, he has 10 points.
Christian Harvey did some good things. I'd like to see him get a little more involved in this offense. They could use some help from him.
But it was around this time here as you see Cade Gibbs really started reeling things back in. Tayshaun Cherry doing all he can, but of course he needs to really pick things up as well. He only has 5 points right now. He's averaging 18 a contest. Of course, Max Gizzy also getting some big contributions as well, but still Grace has really been able to shoot it well from all over the court.
Well, I think in this second half, Kurt, the difference will be who can get to the line and who can make them, because both teams are so good at defense. And the three-pointers, I think, may level each other out. But just like in the first time these two teams played, I think it's going to come down who can get to the line, who can hit them when they get to the line.
Of course, that was just a couple of weeks ago, back on January 4th when these two teams played. That was back when Grace was ranked number 4 in the nation. Of course, they would follow that up with a loss to the 21st ranked St. Francis out of Indiana, but that was a 70-49 win for Grace College. And of course now back on the other side here, they're on their home turf here. In fact, Marian, believe it or not here, Jan, is 8-2 against Grace College here in their history.
I think I may have said earlier that Grace beat Wesleyan. I believe it was St. Francis who beat Indiana Wesleyan.
If I'm not mistaken, or rather it was Grace College who beat him?
I'll have to look. I thought it was St. Francis, but maybe it was Grace. I'll have to look.
Well, Indiana Wesleyan beat Grace College back on January 7th. And then, of
they
course,
haven't played them since.
Yeah, they haven't played them since, but they also played Huntington. They're coming off of a loss to Huntington back on January 21st.
The one loss by IWU was to St. Francis.
There you go. Yeah. That would probably be it then.
I think I incorrectly said Grace beat them.
So either way, lots of competitiveness here in the Crossroads League. There was Elijah Malone getting things going from behind the arc right there. He is one of the leading scorers. He's actually the second leading scorer right now here for Grace College. Those are your highlights here. But, of course, one thing I want to talk about here, Jan, is the fact that you see a lot of women's volleyball here on the ISC Sports Network. Well, the volleyball women are going to be getting a new head coach this season. It's their 5th women's volleyball coach in their history. That is Callie Noble, who was hired just this week here by Marian University. Director of Athletics Steve Downing making the announcement today. So the Marian Knights for volleyball going to be under the tutelage of a new head coach there in Callie Noble.
Well, it's exciting times here. Marian does just Coach A.D. Downing has been here for a long, long time. Of course, very recognizable name here in the state of Indiana. Does a phenomenal job, and Marian athletics is just really, really exciting. And there's very few of their sports who are not doing really, really well.
Of course, the Marian Knights football team, you see them here on the ISC Sports Network, as well as both the men's and women's soccer clubs as well. In fact, you may see a lot of those athletes here in attendance today here for this ball game in front of us.
I ran into Coach Scott Fleming, who's the head softball coach. Talked to him a little bit. He's been coaching softball for a long time. Used to be the assistant basketball coach here for many years under Coach Grimes, but Coach Fleming has been the softball coach for a long time and does a great job. Can't find a better young man than Scott Fleming. Just a coach you would want your daughter to play for. He is that quality of a guy.
Certainly some exciting times here for Marian University athletics. So as the Grace College Lancers come back onto the floor, as do the Marian Knights, Janet, what are the big things that you want the Knights to focus on going into the second half?
I think they got to find the paint. I really do. A, good shot selection in the paint. B, they got to find their way to the free throw line. And last but not least, got to continue that really good rotation and movement on their offense.
We'll see what happens here as we get set for the second half here of this big Crossroads League matchup as the Grace College Lancers lead the Marian Knights 42-38 here at halftime. We'll take one final halftime timeout. When we come back, the second half coming at you next right here on the ISC Sports Network.
Meet Chip. 30 years ago, he started a small business with a big idea. Today, there's a new building, a new fleet of equipment, and a new era of leadership. But we know Chip, and at Indiana Members Credit Union, we know he plans to keep growing, building business with the next generation. IMCU is here to help with secure and simple account management tools and commercial financing to grow business. Today, it's all about Chip. Tomorrow, it's all about you. Because at IMCU, it's you that matters.
Own a home? Here's a tip. Don't dump your garbage in the street. Neighbors get fussy about that sort of thing. Instead, count on Ray's Trash to haul it away. Ray's can supply 96-gallon waste and recycling bins that'll make you the envy of the cul-de-sac. And when you need a roll-off container for that big job, guess who's going to be there for you? That's right, Ray's. Your filth needs a place of its own. Ray's Trash will move it there. You know where to go.
Ray'sTrash.com.
Ray's Trash.
Good look there at Marian University's campus here. Snow covered here tonight from a winter storm that blitzed Indianapolis, but still, it's not stopping this game here today at John Grimes Court. Tonight's game brought to you by O'Brien Automotive Family. If you're saving money, which is important to you, visit Tom O'Brien Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram. A proud sponsor of Marian Athletics, Tom O'Brien is Indy's preferred Jeep dealer with 2 locations and the biggest Jeep inventory in Indiana. To show our support, Tom O'Brien will donate $200 to Marian for every car any student, parent, employee, or friend of Marian buys when you mention this in promo. Go Knights, and also to Tom O'Brien to see just how our family works for you since 1933. Alongside Jan Bozier, I'm Kurt Darling. There you see head coach Scott Heddy there for the Marian Knights, getting some last words of wisdom here for his starting 5 for the second half here. Jan, a big half here for the Marian Knights here, to not only just for this game, but also Crossroads League implications as well.
Yeah, it really is. And for the most part, we're even, other than an obvious 4-point difference here for Grace. But when it's all said and done, there is a big half of basketball, pretty even. Grace was able to get a 4-point lead going into halftime. Anybody's ball game. Who's going to make shots?
Coach Scott Heddy, of course, hoping that is his Marian Knights. The Lancers, of course, under head coach Scott Moore in his 4th year. He's 84-36 in his tenure. In fact, he was an assistant under longtime head coach Jim Kessler before he retired in 2019. Jim Kessler was the head coach of Grace College for 42 seasons, winning 780 games and a national championship in the NAIA ranks back in 1992.
And Kurt, Malone will not start this second half. Interesting setup now for Grace. They'll go without the big guy to at least start this second half.
And Grace College going right down the middle there with Gibbs.
Wow, that was just way too easy. That can't happen.
Back the other way, Goman trying to keep the hot shooting going, and he has it right there with another 3. Of course, he started things off just like that in the first half. Here's Gibbs. Again off to Graber this time, and here's Scott. He was hot in the first half. That ball tipped, but gets into the hands there of Graber. Now here's Wadding. No-look pass underneath, and that is a good cut there by Scott.
That was gorgeous. Little 2-man play. Just eye communication. Got in the paint. Little ball fake. Anticipated. That was pretty.
That's now 12 points for Ian Scott.
2 easy looks for Grace here, though, to start this second half.
Cherry trying to find the paint, as you said there, Jan, and he can't quite do it there.
Wow, he went up strong and used the glass, just didn't fall.
Cherry having a tough outing here today. He only has 5 points.
But Grace can put a little run together here.
Graber thinks better of that shot. And here's Wadding again, back to Graber. With a hand in his face, and we're going to get a foul here coming up on Cherry.
Oh my, and that's with 3 seconds left in the shot clock. You don't want to get that foul then, because he's going to have to rush this thing a little bit. And that resets the shot clock, and they get another 20 seconds. That's a tough play. That's all the factors that happen when you foul deep in the shot clock.
Here's Gibbs with it. Of course, a native of Plainfield, Indiana is Gibbs. He and his brother Cade playing for the Quakers just down the road. And that is Cade Gibbs off the feed from his brother.
Grace really efficient. We talked about that in the opening. They got 3 guys who are in the top 5 in the conference in efficiency shooting.
Harvey with a big shot along the baseline.
Now all of a sudden it's a 6-point lead for Grace.
That's the biggest lead of the ball game so far here for Grace, as it was just a moment ago before that Harvey bucket. Wadding feeds it inside to Gibbs. He's blocked from behind by Cherry. He gets his own rebound, though.
I think he get Cherry again, though.
And we'll see what they call it. No, it's actually going to be Bryan.
Oh, they get Bryan.
And that's actually a good call right there, because otherwise that would be 3 fouls on Cherry. Well, it's not for a lack of trying. You know, Marian is certainly trying to find that paint, as you said, Jan.
Yeah, they are, but the problem on the defensive side is Grace is living down right at the bucket. Those are really close shots for Grace.
So here is Cade Gibbs, 12 points a contest, only shooting 76% from the charity stripe, but he makes 1 of 2 right there. Cherry again going in on Scott. Still can't get it to go, but finally gets his putback.
But I love the fact that Marian's attacking in the paint. We talked about that. They've got to do more of that to keep that outside open.
Through the first 3 minutes, that's tipped off of Grace College. That is their 4th turnover, and it goes back to Marian.
And just a little small thing like a deflection. The fact he got his hand around there and then deflected it off Grace got Marian another possession.
Harvey insisted on using as much time as they possibly can here in this second half. Harvey, nice thread the needle pass in the end one by Cherry.
But what happened? Marian got to the paint. Here it is. When you get to the paint, he attracted the double team and somebody had to be open. That's exactly why you got to get to the paint in a game like this.
Again, Cherry only had 5 points in the first half. He now has 4 so far in the last couple of minutes. And Cherry, a native of California, he actually played some Division I basketball in the NCAA at Arizona State before coming here to Marian.
Really good offensive possessions for Marian. Ball movement and shots in the paint.
The ball has not touched the floor here for Grace. The shot doesn't go for Gibbs. Wadding cutting to the basket. He's stopped there by Goldman, but Wadding with a nice move around him.
Goldman, just a really good ball player. Under control, uses his legs. Not the tallest, but you wouldn't know it the way he plays.
He has 6 points. Still a 5-point lead here for Grace. Harvey on the end around. That's tipped up and blocked. Goes out of bounds, and they're going to say that was off of Marian. And there is Christian Harvey getting nice up and close and personal there with our cameraman Alan Hughes.
I'm sure Coach Hetty, and I would agree, is still okay with that shot selection. They're still in attack mode. You're going to get occasional block, but still stay in attack mode in the paint at the rim.
And so that'll be credited as a turnover here by Marian. That's their 2nd of the ball game, according to my stat sheet. Here's Stoltzfus. Up top to Gibbs. He leaves it for Wadding. He tries to cut inside. And Gibbs leaves it for his brother, who's there for a dunk. Sibling action right there between the Gibbs twins.
Kurtz, where's their shot? If we had a show the shot selection for Grace, we'd have dots all real close to the rim. They're living at the rim.
Goldman again here from outside. Harvey on the cut to Harvey. It's blocked. That was actually Goldman cutting it to Harvey, and it was blocked, but not before they get a foul on Grace.
Goldman did not believing that.
That's going to be Scott picking up his 2nd.
Who got the foul? Scott?
That would be Scott. And that'll bring us to the under 16 timeout, and we will take one with them. 54-47 your score. Grace on top of Marian here on the ISC Sports Network.
Does your school offer high-quality education? Does it offer virtual or hybrid options? Marian University Preparatory School educates students in a safe, faith-based environment focused on college and career exploration. Here at Marian University Preparatory School, we empower parents and help students to master what they love and learn as they live. We are now enrolling students in grades 6 through 9 this fall. Full financial aid packages are still available. Act now to make MU Prep your school for 2022.
Dear doctor, Your screens say my mom. You can keep my screens now.
Well, you wouldn't think to know it here, Jan Bozier, but the Marian Knights coming off a game in which they shot 53% from the field in a rout of Mount Vernon of Nazarene. Well, needless to say, a couple shots going down here for Marian, but needless to say, they are not shooting that well here today.
Yeah, I mean, let's give some credit to Grace. Their defense has been solid. Their offense has been in complete attack mode. We've seen Scott there, the Plainfield graduate, pick up a foul, but I mean, right now, you look at it, still a 7-point lead. Hopefully, Marian can cut into it. That's not good.
Of course, Marian struggling at the charity stripe now. They are now 50% in that regard off of that shot right there as Harvey comes to the line. He's shooting 78% this season from the free throw line.
Oh, and he missed both of them.
And he misses both.
Oh, just shy of an 80% free throw shooter and missed them both. And he's not happy with himself.
So he's playing some stingy defense here to try and make up. Stoltzfus gets it up top now to Davidson. Into the corner, Gibbs working on Cherry. Weasels his way inside. And Cherry comes away with the rebound.
Boy, still a really good look by Grace. Didn't get that one.
Cherry pulling up, and it looks like Davidson got a finger on that one. Stoltzfus trying to get some help. Can't find a shot.
Boy, Malone has been on the bench for a long time, too.
In fact, he did not start this second half.
No, he did not. Interesting.
Loose ball, and Marian coming away with the steal. Meanwhile, Harvey took a pretty hard spill, but he appears to be okay.
Here comes Malone into the ball game.
Meanwhile, Goman misses that three-pointer, and Cherry can't come away with the follow-up, and he wanted a foul and a no call.
Marian just does not have a rhythm to their offense at all right now.
Gibbs going right in on Cherry, and they're going to get a foul number 3 on him.
And listen, that's exactly what you want to do, is go right after the big guy with 2 fouls. Now that's number 3, I believe, right? That's a big foul.
And Cherry's going to come out of the ball game here for Scott Hetty, so he's going to, at least it appeared that he was going to.
And where's Grace at again? The free throw line.
Meanwhile, Jake Gibbs makes his first foul shot of the ball game. He has 4 points, so Cherry will take a seat, and we'll see Gavin Foe check in as well as Max Gizzi.
Now let's mark this down, 13:36. You got a fresh legs of Malone, and you got no Cherry in there. Let's see what happens here starting at the 13:36 mark.
This is going to be a big mismatch down low. Gibbs makes the follow-up free throw. Langcable, nothing there but a big tip out by Goman. Bryan steps over, can't connect, tipped out. It'll stay here with Marian.
And Marian has went ice cold from three-point line.
After they started pretty hot as well. In fact, in that first half, they made 7 three-pointers. They have not made one. In fact, they've actually only made 1 so far here with Luke Goman in this second half. That was the very first shot of this second half.
Well, in the loss at Grace, they shot under 25% from the three-point line.
Here's Gizzi. Has Bryan. Trying to dump it off. Langcable doesn't have an opening. He pulls up. And that wild shot doesn't go. It's off the knee of Goman. And a turnover here back to Grace.
Well, what Grayson's doing defensively, they're just packing it in the paint right now. When they have made some good adjustments for the fact that Marian has went cold from outside. So now they're just flat out packing it in the paint, and there's not a lot of room in there.
Gibbs works it inside, and that's just too easy there for Malone.
And look out, Grace going to live there too. Absolutely going to live with Malone right at the block.
Largest lead of the ball game here for Grace at 11 points. Bryan has Gizzy at the elbow. It's a big mismatch on the big man, and Gizzy takes advantage of it.
Yeah, nice little turnaround jumper. Never panic, stayed under control, and man, the Knights needed that.
First bucket in about 3.5 minutes here for Marian.
Marian's now got to get some stops. As much as it is about their offense, they got to get some defensive stops.
And that's a big turnover there, a traveling violation forced by Marian. Of course, a big thank you to BSN as well, the preferred provider of apparel for Marian Knights Athletics.
Gizzy has really come in to his own in this Marian lineup.
Josh Bryan. And again, they started to find the paint earlier, but they have gone ice cold in that regard. And a lot of bowling pins down low, and that is a charge with Jacob Gibbs being the bowling ball.
Well, he really came down that lane a little bit out of control. I think you have to agree with the call.
It's a pretty good call there by the officials, as Cade Gibbs will come back out. Jacob Gibbs will stay inside. If you take a look at the replay here.
Yeah, no question, he was set. Good defense that time by Goldman. Marian just got to chip away at this. Shot selection will be big here, Kurt.
Gizzy going in on the big man again.
Good decision.
Bryan, little too strong. Saved by Gavin Foe, and a fresh possession here by the Knights.
Saved a possession.
Gizzy works into the lane, kicks it outside. Lane Cable has some defenders on him. Goldman just off the mark.
They got the shot they wanted. You'll take Goldman in that shot all day long.
Backdoor cut though, Wadding.
Timeout,
with the
Marian.
red carpet laid out for him, and a timeout here taken by Coach Scott Heddy. Take a look at this again.
Yeah, I'll tell you what's happened here is Goldman is having to do all the physical work underneath, and he's playing a ton of minutes.
30-second timeout here taken by Coach Scott Heddy, so he's going to have a brief chat here with his Marian Knights. Indiana Members Credit Union is a proud sponsor of Marian University and now offers a free Marian Knights debit card with a free checking account. Get your Knights debit card today and show your support by visiting an IMCU branch or signing up online now at imcu.com. Membership savings required, federally insured by NCUA.
Goldman is really what the only thing Marian has to protect the rim. He's a solid guy, but not real tall. Cherry comes right back into the ball game, and he has to. They just can't continue to allow just one defender, or it's going to be problematic.
Again, back to 11-point deficit here for Marian. Here's Foe inside to Cherry, back in with 3 fouls. Gizzy loads it up, just off the mark again. Gibbs outside, Stoltzfus loads it up, and he connects. First three-pointer made here by him.
Just good recognition of who's the open man, making the extra pass by Grace.
Grace College now starting to move away here from Marian. Gizzy pulls up from short distance, and he still can't connect. Bryan tries it this time. He's also short. Trying again here is Gizzy. Cherry, can he hit? Still nothing from behind the arc from Marian, and another offensive rebound.
Good rebounding.
Can Heddy try it this time? Still nothing from Marian.
Wow, in and out. They got a lot of good looks, just didn't fall. It's not because the effort wasn't there. 4 looks at it.
4 of the 5 players on the field, on the court right now here for Marian, took a three-pointer and missed. Malone squirts it over to Wadding, who connects.
Wadding just around the ball all day long. He's got more of those second look baskets. He's a young man and just flat out making a living by staying around the rim. Here's the big guy posting up, and here's just cleanup time.
And a full timeout here taken by Marian. We'll take one with them. Back in a moment here on the ISC Sports Network.
Is your building haunted or infested with icky snakes? Then tear it down. The Raised Trash Demolition Squad can flatten buildings up to 3 stories tall. Whether it's a commercial or residential structure, the Raised Trash Demo experts will make it go boom. And with their roll-off containers, they'll haul away the mess quicker than you can say, hey, there used to be a building there. Bring your old fire trap to its knees with Raised Trash.
RaisedTrash.com.
Raised Trash.
The minute I stepped foot on campus, I didn't want to leave.
Everyone here is about helping you succeed.
It's hard work, but it's totally worth it. I have so much support from my advisors.
The nursing program is why I chose Marian.
I'm studying to be a teacher.
I'm a business major.
My professors really challenge me, and I know I'll be ready for my career.
A great education is the best thing you could ever do for yourself.
Marian University, an exceptional education and an unforgettable experience. Apply today for full scholarship consideration at marian.edu.
Well, there you see the bench of Marian University right there being coached up by Scott Hetty, but of course they're absent one player right now here, Jan, as we saw Tayshawn Cherry walk into the locker room during that play.
Yeah, I think he was a little shaken up. They helped him up, and he was just a little bit wheezy, so they took him to the locker room to evaluate, and hopefully he's okay. But that's going to make Marian, a thin inside team, a little bit thinner.
But of course now they're going to get the services of Jackson Ames, it appears here,
right
number 14.
Right here, let's see what happened. Oh, he took the elbow to the face right there.
And you can tell he's a little dazed right there.
Yeah.
He took it right to the face on that one.
Nothing intentional. Malone, just a big guy. Big guys, big arms are problematic if they hit you in the right place at the wrong time.
So now Coach Scott Hetty is going to go into his bench here. He is going to put Jackson Ames, the 6'11 sophomore, in for the first time here today to try and post up a little bit here with the big man Elijah Malone.
Yeah, and I think what he's got to do is just be physical. He's got 5 fouls to give. Just be absolutely as physical as you can possibly be. If he ends up at the free throw line, so be it. But he's got to bring some physical play here. He really does.
So they're going to call on the youngster. So out of the timeout here, Marian going to try and pump some life back into their offensive rhythm.
Marian's got to find a run. They have got to find a run somewhere.
Luke Hetty, nothing inside. He leaves it for Goman. He tries to spin, and he slides to the ground, keeping his dribble and coughing it up.
Boy, that's tough. He lost his feet.
Wadding throws it up off the glass, and there's Malone for the putback.
Just cleaning up. Grace is now dominating the boards. They're just big inside, and they're even bigger now, and that's really paying huge dividends for Grace.
Grace has really busted this open, as you see Tayshawn Cherry walking back onto the bench there in your background. Hetty with a big three-pointer for the Knights.
Well, let's see if that'll get the Knights going. Down by 15, Kurt. They've got to have some stops and get some runs going here. Still tons of time.
Gibbs looks inside to Malone. Davidson all wide open
but
from
you see
three.
What's happening when I talked about this earlier. See what attention Malone's bringing? He's getting the double down. Somebody's got to be open, and then when you stroke the three, that's almost unstoppable.
Goman tries to answer, and he has really gone ice cold from deep as well.
Well, this is a really demanding game mentally and physically, and he's lost his legs a little bit because he's did a lot of the heavy work underneath.
Gibbs gets into the lane. Malone one-on-one now with Ames, getting some help from Goman. He splits the defenders, and they're going to get a foul here on the Knights.
See what Grace has on the other side, Kurt. Remember, Malone was on the bench for a long time, so he's got pretty fresh legs, and now he is flat out just going at the rim against tired legs were Marian. And Marian's got a really kind of small lineup other than the small or the taller guy in Ames.
Malone goes behind the back. And now it gets back inside to him on the give-and-go attempt for Wadding. And it's a turnover.
Marian needs a bucket in the worst way right here.
Harvey left standing. And he cannot miss the gimme.
He just needs to shoot that. See, he took so long. You know, players have a tendency to try to engineer a shot. And more often than not, they don't hit it. He just needs to shoot that one. He's a good shooter. Just get in a rhythm and shoot the thing.
Meanwhile, that's a good sign there for Coach Hetty. That is Tayshawn Cherry coming back into the ball game after having to be evaluated in the locker room for a little bit.
Let's see if he can make an impact here.
Hetty trying again from deep. Nothing doing. Cherry fighting for the rebound. Wadding comes away with it, and back in the other way is Davidson.
How about a perfect pass in the end zone? Oh my, that's just a gorgeous pass.
That was a quarterback's pass, and there's Cherry just missing the wide open bunny. Brian able to convert.
Boy, Marian needed that. They can't get farther behind here. Mr. Clock's starting to run out of time.
Again, 6.5 minutes left to go here coming up. Davidson pulls up from way behind the arc.
Well, I'm not sure they needed that shot. One of the few times I really haven't thought they liked that shot.
Brian again.
Here comes the run, maybe.
Back-to-back threes by Josh Bryant.
That's why I'm not sure you wanted that shot. Let's see if Marian's got another stop at him, Kurt. It's now or never.
A quick 6-0 swing here by the Knights. Davidson tipped up here to Wadding. He steps on the baseline, and that is another turnover by Grace.
Marian got a hand on that, a little deflection. And I think we got a timeout here, Kurt.
It's going to be a full timeout here taken by Grace College. We'll step aside with them. 6:17 left to go. 72-58. Marian on a little bit of a run here on the ISC Sports Network.
Still waiting? You could have been seen by an orthopedic specialist at Ortho Indy Urgent Care. Avoid the wait, cost, and drama of the ER. Ortho Indy Urgent Care. Orthopedic care without the drama. Find a location near you.
Meet Chip. 30 years ago, he started a small business with a big idea. Today, there's a new building, a new fleet of equipment, and a new era of leadership. But we know Chip, and at Indiana Members Credit Union, we know he plans to keep growing, building business with the next generation. IMCU is here to help with secure and simple account management tools and commercial financing to grow business. Today, it's all about Chip. Tomorrow, it's all about you. Because at IMCU, it's you that matters.
Tonight's game brought to you by the Michaelis Corporation. From ground-up building projects to around-the-clock emergency security services, no one answers your prayers or phones quicker than Michaelis. Give us a call at 1-844-FIX-INDY. That's 1-844-FIX-INDY. Alongside Jan Bozier, I'm Kurt Darling. Jan, you saw it right there in the highlights. Some big three-pointers there from Josh Bryant have hopefully put some life in here to the Marian
Yeah, you're
Knights.
right, Kurt. And Marian was able to get a few stops down here. It's going to be on the defensive side. I think the offense they'll find. But if they're going to win this thing, it'll be on the defensive side getting some stops. But a big play right here in the half court. See if they can keep that momentum going.
Brian can't have his opening. Harvey instead dumps it off to Cherry, splits the defenders, finally gets the roll to go.
That's big. That's big. Was able to convert again, down to 12 points.
Cherry has had to earn every point that he has made so far here tonight. He's missed some shots at close range as well.
Let's see if Marian can get this under 10 in about a minute or so.
It's an 8-0 run here for the Knights. Wadding trying to break that run, and he does.
Boy, he's just been solid all game long. He has just flat out made a living around the rim.
He has 10 points, though. Hetty right down the lane, an easy block there by Gibbs. Gibbs is going to go right in on Brian.
That's good
It's
defense.
tipped out of bounds.
That's a really good job by an official. That is a good defensive play, good offensive play, and a good no call. Take a look right here. See, that's just a good no call. That's really good officiating.
Here's Ian Scott back in the ball game after getting a pretty good respite there. Gibbs is short from three.
Marian got another shot here, Kurt.
Brian, and that is a 3-point foul right here for Josh Bryant. You're going to get Bryson Graber. That is going to be his first. rather his second. And so this will put Brian to try and get what would amount to his third three-pointer in a row. Reminding you, it's at the free throw line this time.
Well, he struggled there. I wouldn't go say anything, but he's shooting right at about 66% for the year. Boy, it's hard to understand. He's got such a good-looking shot. Ball rotation.
But he makes the second one right here to keep the run going for the Marian Knights. He goes one for three.
Yeah, that's just a part of his game where he has struggled, but shoots them awful quick for me. Slow down a little bit, get a little more rotation on the ball.
Final 5 minutes here for the Knights. Scott is going to get shoved there by one of the Marian players, and it's going to be Luke Hetty, the guilty party.
Scott was such a good high school ball player, and he really fits well into this Grace kind of offense.
Again, the third player from Plainfield on this Grace College squad.
He'll sit down, get a little bit of a rest, and you would have to make the statement that Grace bench has played pretty well.
Indeed it has, especially in relief of Elijah Malone, who's back into the ball game again. He spent a lot of time on the bench tonight saving his legs.
Yeah, here comes back the starters now for Marian. It's flat out now or never. Hopefully they've got enough of a rest that they can punch it in here the rest of the way.
So all 5 starters back on the floor here for Marian. Harvey trying to go for a steal.
And he's that guy. There it is.
And there it is.
Yes, sir. That's what he can bring.
Turnover number 9 for Grace. Cherry steps back. And he hits.
Huge.
Big three-pointer by Tayshawn Cherry.
And they got it to 10, just about where I felt like they needed to. 4:23, Kurt, here we go.
It is an 11-2 run for Marian.
It's been on the defensive side that Marian has got back in this thing. And a turnover by Grace.
Marian on the defensive end is really coming up strong here over the latter half of this half.
Always said it, that basketball is a game of runs. It just is. Let's see if Marian can continue this run.
This would certainly be a heck of a comeback if they can accomplish it. Harvey kicks it back out to Cherry, gets it in stride and gets a big shot.
Great movement to the rim. He's seen he was in trouble and he moved to the rim. That was big.
The run continues here for Marian. It's back to an 8-point ball game.
Malone on the bench.
Oh, and almost a steal, and gathering himself, Lang Cable picks up his first foul.
Yeah, that really doesn't hurt anything.
That is team foul number 6, though. So next foul puts Grace in the bonus.
Well, Marian may need that anyway, so we'll see what happens. He was going for the ball, though. I love the fact that he made an effort to try to get another steal. Still an 8-point lead, but they've clawed back.
Scott delays the handoff there to Stoltzfus. 5 seconds to shoot here for Grace. Gibbs pulls up with a finger in his face, tipped out. What's the call? And it is Marian basketball.
Good officiating again. He didn't see it. He asked for help. The other 2 officials made the exact same call. That's what you want to do. Don't make a call if you don't see it.
And a timeout here taken by Coach Scott Hetty. Probably a pretty good one here to gather his squad here over the latter half here.
Yeah, I like the timeout a lot. He's got to do anything and everything. Give them a little rest. They've made a great little run here. Let's see what they got left in the tank with 3:23.
I'd like to give a special shout out to our ISC Sports Network crew here tonight on the cameras. Rob Lynch, Alan Hughes, and JD Arland. Back in the production truck as well as Jordan Shue and Vince Morellas doing an excellent job here tonight as always, gentlemen.
Yes, they do.
So with 3:23 left to go here, Jan, what is Coach Scott Hetty telling his team here briefly?
I think more than anything, he says, guys, we got 3:23. You got yourself back in this. Now, don't stop now. Take it home. I don't think there's a lot of X and O's. Obviously, they got to get stops. You just can't trade baskets. I think the offense will come. He's talking, guys, we got to get stops, protect the paint.
We'll see what happens here over the final 3.5 minutes.
Big possession right here, Kurt.
Marian not out of this game yet. They were down by as many as 20 points.
Every offensive possession will be big from here on out.
With the slap, Cherry contested, and he draws a foul.
I like it. Yeah, we mentioned early that you got to get to the free throw line in a game like this. And up until this point, Grace was kind of winning that battle. Now, all of a sudden, Marian's found theirself at the free throw line a little bit.
2 shots here for Tayshawn Cherry. And that's a big one right there.
Cherry's good free throw shooter at 85%.
And Tayshawn Cherry, a heck of a lot of talent. He was a 5-star recruit in high school. In fact, he was in number 44 on the ESPN Top 100 in his time coming out of high school. Big free throws here. He's 3 for 3.
2-possession game now, boys.
6-point deficit for the Knights.
You hear the crowd, and they're exactly right. If Marian can win this, it will be because of defense.
Almost a steal there by Cherry, but they get it out. Gibbs contested, coughs it up.
Good defense, really good defense that time by Lane Cable.
Marian has forced 5 straight turnovers by Grace.
Excuse me, that was Goldman, not Lane Cable.
Harvey waiting for an opening. He feeds Cherry inside, kicks it back out. Harvey splits the defender.
Yes, sir. You don't, quickness like that, you don't find anywhere, and it's down to 4. The Knights have literally scratched and clawed, and now it's a 4-point ball game.
Timeout taken here by the Grace College Lancers. And we're going to keep it right here on the ISC Sports Network as we just take this in. Christian Cherry with a big shot right there.
Well, I tell you, Christian Harvey, did he turn on the afterburners there or what? He's got quickness, unlike very many.
So while we have a moment here to catch our breath, be sure to check out joining the M Club, which is the absolute best way to support our student athletes at Marian University. More information by visiting marian.edu/M Club.
Well, you wonder how much energy Marian has. They use an awful lot to claw back into this thing. But listen, don't matter now. You got to find energy with 2:17. You brought it all the way. Close don't count in basketball.
Well, it almost seems to me, Jan, when you're talking about expending energy, Grace is playing a little tired right now after they've been moving up and down the floor all day long.
I think that's a really good point. They do look like they're just a little bit tired. They haven't really shown that because their bench has played so well. But the last few possessions, they haven't been as quick to the ball as they have been. Really good point on your part.
It has now been an 11-4 swing in favor of Marian.
Now it's all about just doing the little things in basketball to bring this one home.
So here we go, the final 2 minutes and 17 seconds. We're here for the duration.
And this is where Christian Harvey can be a difference maker. He has some skills here that he can use to really help his ball club.
Crossroads League implications on the line here today. Whoever wins this game comes out in second place in the league standings. Malone harassed by Cherry down low, and he gets it picked away there by Josh Bryan.
He was literally had 4 guys on him. Somebody had to be open. You got to get rid of that ball.
Huge possession here for the Knights.
Under 2.
Goman waiting for his moment, leaves it for Harvey.
Key is get a good shot. You don't need to be in a hurry here.
Goman wants to fire it, thinks better of it. It's poked out of bounds, and it's going to stay here with Marian.
And the shot clock will stay at 5. So now it's a little more difficult because you don't have a lot of time to find a good shot.
Cherry playing a little loose right there.
Yeah, you can see the teammates of Marian saying, hey, recognize you only have 5 seconds. Don't get caught with a shot clock violation and not get a shot off.
And a timeout going to be taken here by Coach Scott Heddy of Marian. So another full timeout taken here by the Knights. So with 5 seconds left to go here, needless to say, I would assume you're attacking the rim off the inbound.
Well, you don't have a lot of time to get there. I'm assuming Grace will really put man-to-man pressure on. So you maybe have one pass, but it has to be quick. The key is you got to get something here. You'd love to see that if you got enough time, Kurt, because you'd love to get the free throw line, and that's the way you're going to get there. So let's see what play that Coach Heddy draws up here with 5 seconds on that shot clock.
First, Tayshawn Cherry had 2 big free throws on the last time they were at the charity stripe here for Marian. Let's take a look at this replay here. You just see that almost looks like it could have been out on Marian right there, Jan.
Yeah, it was a close play. Boy, what a really good ball game, though. People got their money's worth today. We got a really good crowd. Kind of concerned with the earlier start and the weather, but, man, it's been a good, really vocal crowd. Both teams really, really playing hard, and that's all you can ask. This thing's going to come down to the wire. Somebody make a play.
Just take a look at it one more time here. In fact, it looked like Stoltzfus didn't even touch it.
Well, they're looking at it over there. Let's see if they turn. They're talking about it right there. They looked at the replay. They may reverse this thing.
Doesn't look like they are going to. It looks like that may be a teaching moment there for one of the officials. Either way, they're going to keep it here with Marian.
Or they didn't feel like there was enough evidence to override the call on the field. On the court, I should say, that's a football term, but it applies here, that it was Marian's ball, not enough to overturn it.
So they're going to keep it there.
Got to get it up, got to get it up.
Cherry has to get the shot up.
Oh,
nothing going.
Hard to argue that shot, though. Got a good shot.
That's a shot that he has struggled with all game long, but still he has put this team on his back.
Grace is going to take all the time in the world here.
Indeed they are. No need to foul here if you're Marian. 10 to shoot here for Grace. Almost stolen there by Harvey.
Another coat of paint, he'd had that one.
Scott left wide open, and he hits a big three for the Lancers.
He has been that guy. He was that guy at Plainfield. Plays with so much confidence. He's that guy that wants the ball.
15 points for him. Final minute. Harvey goes in, and it's an offensive foul on Harvey.
That's a pretty good call. He lowered the shoulder, and you're not going to get the benefit of the doubt there when you lower the shoulder. Take a look up there. Yeah, he lowered his head and his shoulder. That's probably going to get you the offensive call. Hard to argue that call.
So Grace, in spite of the fact of getting hit in the mouth here over the last couple of minutes or so, they are doing just enough to keep Marian at arm's length.
Boy, that three-point shot was a backbreaker.
And now a timeout taken by Grace. And it's going to be a full timeout here. We'll go ahead and take another quick timeout here. 49 seconds left to go. 7-point lead for Grace here on the ISC Sports Network.
Dear doctor, your screens save my mom. You can keep my screens now.
This is the Pepsi for America's best barbecue. Worthy of 100-mile detours and 1,000 likes. Looks good. This is the Pepsi for mopping, dipping, and dousing. Whatever you're craving, this is the Pepsi for you. This is the Pepsi for serious fans and serious eats. This is the Pepsi for Sundays at the ballpark and days off at your favorite pizza joint. Right, Aaron?
Best slice in New York.
Whatever you're craving, this is the Pepsi for you.
Final 49 seconds here. The Marian faithful certainly looking for a big performance here over the final 49 seconds, but time is certainly running out here. Grace College on top of by 7 here on the ISC Sports Network. Jan Bozer, Kurt Darling here with you. Jan, it's crunch time here for the Knights.
Well, it is, and Marian's probably going to have to foul because they need 3 possessions, and you're not going to get that allowing the clock to run, so they're probably going to have to play the foul game. try to get a steal here early. If not, they're going to have to foul.
Full court pressure here coming from Marian. Long pass taken here by Gibbs.
Good decision. You got to foul now.
Playing some keep away. They're going to get a foul here on Cherry. That'll be his 4th.
Yeah, he just all but has to do that. You got to take your chances now. Just not enough time. 3 possession difference in this ball game.
1-and-1 coming here for Cade Gibbs. There you see Tayshaun Cherry. He has certainly come alive here in this second half. He has 18 points here to lead Marian.
How big was that 3-point shot by Scott? Man,
that was probably the shot of the game right there.
Really, really made things difficult for Marian.
And Gibbs makes the front end.
Hit your free throws. And it may be enough here.
Of course, here's Cade Gibbs. He, believe it or not, Jan, he is triple majoring in accounting and sports management at Grace College.
In other words, he's smart.
Yes. Cherry down low. Bryant trying to cut it in. He airballs that one out of bounds.
That's pretty much going to do it.
So not a lot of hope left here for Marian. And this certainly would be tough here for Marian, of course, as they get set to go on the road for 2 straight games. They'll be taking on Goshen College on the road on January 28th. That game, of course, going to be against a team in Goshen College that is 0-10 in conference play, as a timeout's taken on the court here.
Well, Marian's bench hasn't played bad. The difference in the 2 benches is what Grace can bring in off the bench has a lot more length, and they can help interior, where Marian, when they bring their bench in, they have a tendency to be a little bit small, especially if one of the starters is in foul trouble, and Grace took huge advantage of that in this ball game.
So Coach Scott Heddy and Coach Scott Moore giving some final words of wisdom here over the final 33 seconds. The result holds here. Grace College going to come away with their 19th victory of the season, coming off of that loss to Huntington just a couple of days ago.
Well, the other problem for Marian is they're a team that has, on this court, shoots the ball really, really well. Which camera are you on? There we are. We don't know. We were on. At least we got on camera this time. but they usually win by the 3-point shooting. And they started off well, but as a whole, 3-point shooting has not been overall been the Marian type shooting that they normally can. And when they don't shoot well from outside, they put a lot of pressure on their defense.
Of course, right now the officials taking a look at our video feed to make sure they have the clock set right. So looks like they may be adding some time back on here as the clock reads 33 seconds, but they may be putting some more time back on. And there you see again as they keep taking a look at the replay here. So the clock right now reads 33.8 seconds. We'll see what they'll stop this at, maybe about 34 seconds or so.
Well, this is going to be a tough one for Marian. It's a game they really felt like they needed and thought they could get. And they'll now go on the road to Goshen, then at Bethel, and then back home to Huntington. So they got a little road trip coming up, and then they'll be back home, Huntington and Spring Arbor, and then at Indiana Wesleyan. So they got their work cut out for them after this loss.
Of course, right now, Huntington and Marian are tied at third place here in the Crossroads League standings. Of course, depending on how the result is between Huntington and Indiana Wesleyan tonight. With this loss, if it holds true, Marian will drop to as low as fourth in the conference standings after leading the conference standings earlier on this season.
They're looking at the replay to try to figure out, I think, exactly where I'm assuming what the clock ought to be, not really sure.
And maybe looking at something else here, maybe looking at a possible flagrant foul here.
Oh, that's right. Right there is what they may be looking at. Elbow, that's inadvertent. At a worst, it'd be a 2. I don't think there's anything there.
That certainly looks about as inadvertent as the elbow that Tayshaun Cherry took to the face earlier this game.
I would be surprised if they got anything there, but it's just very slight, if anything. Unless you're the guy that got it in the nose, then you would disagree with that. But
so the officials conversing at midcourt. And it appears to me that it looks like it may just be a common foul, which indeed it is.
Yeah, that's what it should be.
So an 8-point lead here for Grace as the officials get everything sorted out at the scorer's table. So it'll be Grace basketball here. Full court press coming again from Marian.
Got a foul. Yep, you just.
And Lane Cable letting a little bit of time go away there before they get the foul.
And this next 31.1 seconds can take about 15 minutes. But hey, if you're Grace, you hit your free throws, you're going home a victor.
Again, Grace College's, of course, record last season, 27-9. In fact, that's the second most game wins that they've had in a single season, dating back to the 1991-92 season when they won a national championship. As Cade Gibbs keeps his free throw shooting going with both of those free throws.
They shoot 20 a game, shoot 72%. That's probably pretty much in line with what they're going to do today.
Cade Gibbs with 12 points here today for Grace College.
Got to get a good shot up here. Got to get a shot up, and they just let the ball go out of bounds.
So another turnover there by Marian, and that's going to put yet another nail here in what looks to be the proverbial coffin. So again, Marian going to be taking on Goshen College on the road here in a few days on January 28th. Meanwhile, Grace returns home to play a tough Indiana Wesleyan squad.
It's going to do it, Kurt.
Marian at University just going to let things run out. So a tough loss here for Marian after going up early on in this ball game. Grace College keeps their poise around them, and they come away with a 10-point victory. Final score, 80-70. The Marian Knights fall to Grace College here today. Jan Bozier, your final thoughts here today.
Well, I thought the difference in the game was Grace's bench. Not only offensively, but defensively. They can bring in some length and really spot some of their starters defensively. And don't forget, they gave Malone a huge rest, and he was pretty fresh when he came in. Pretty good win for the Grace.
So Marian getting set to take on Goshen College on the road here in just a few days. Jan, a pleasure working with you tonight,
as
my
always,
friend.
Kurt. Good job, buddy.
Definitely can't wait to do it again. Final score once again here, Grace knocks off Marian 80-70 here on the ISC Sports Network. For all of us here at ISC, I'm Kurt Darling alongside Jan Bozier, saying so long till next time here on the ISC Sports Network.
Still waiting? You could have been seen by an orthopedic specialist at Ortho Indy Urgent Care. Avoid the wait, cost, and drama of the ER. Ortho Indy Urgent Care. Orthopedic care without the drama. Find a location